All right, you know the drill. Make sure to have a pen and paper ready. And we are going to read The Magic Ladder to Success by Napoleon Hill. This version is edited by Patricia Haran, and I am reading it. Thommy T. The Psychology of the Revival Meeting is an interesting one. It's part 4, I believe, of lesson 1. Part 5? Anyway, this is one of the last parts of lesson 1. The old religious orgy known as the revival offers a favorable opportunity to study. Just a quick reminder, sometimes the terminology in these books is old school, I guess I'd say, or just not what you're necessarily expecting, but the intention of William Hill definitely always seems to, uh, you know, let true, which is an intention that I'm going to lay out here as well. I hope that, and I wish for receiving from this, you will get more ideas to help you progress in those ideas that you're working on, the ones that you're trying to advance. Because ultimately, when you read the last paragraphs of the book, he mentions that all this information is really just to get you those impulses that need to get you more information for what the next step is for that thing that you're working on and in like a bigger scale, right? So, without further ado, starting again, the psychology of the revival meeting. You've got this. My intention is for you to do keep hitting your dreams, keep taking the steps, keep taking one bite of the elephant at a time. You can't eat, and that's the best way to eat an elephant, right? The old religious orgy, known as the revival, offers a favorable opportunity to study the principle of mind chemistry known as mastermind. It will be observed that music plays no small part in bringing about the harmony essential to the blending of a group of minds in a revival meeting. Without music, the revival meeting would be a tame affair. During revival services, the leader of the meeting has no difficulty in creating harmony in the minds of his devotees, but it is a well known fact that this state of harmony lasts no longer than the presence of the leader, after which the mastermind he has temporarily created disintegrates. By arousing the emotional nature of his followers, the revivalist has no difficulty under the proper stage setting and with the establishment of the right sort of music in creating a mastermind that becomes noticeable to all who come in contact with it. The very air becomes charged with a positive, pleasing influence that changes the entire chemistry of all minds present. The revivalist calls his energy the Spirit of the Lord. This author, through experiments conducted with a group of scientific investigators and laymen who were unaware of the nature of the experiment, has created the same state of mind and the same positive atmosphere without calling it the Spirit of the Lord. On many occasions, this author has witnessed the creation of the same positive atmosphere in a group of men and women engaged in the business of salesmanship without calling it the Spirit of the Lord. The author helped conduct the School of Salesmanship for Harrison Parker, founder of the Cooperative Society of Chicago, and by the use of the same principle of mind chemistry that the revivalist calls the Spirit of the Lord, so transformed the nature of a group of 3,000 men and women, all of them were without former sales experience, that they sold more than $10 million worth of securities in less than 9 months and earned more than $1 million for themselves at a time when people were earning only a fraction of that amount. It was found that the average person who joined this school would reach the zenith of his or her selling power within 1 week, after which it was necessary to revitalize the individual's brain through a group sales meeting. These sales meetings were conducted on very much the same order as the modern revival meeting, with much the same stage equipment, including music and high powered speakers that exhorted the salespeople in very much the revival manner. Call it psychology, mind chemistry, or anything you please. They are all based upon the same principle. There is nothing more certain than the fact that wherever a group of minds are, brought into contact in a spirit of perfect harmony, each mind in the group becomes immediately supplemented and reinforced by a noticeable energy called a mastermind. For all this, writer professes to know this uncharted energy may be the Spirit of the Lord, but it operates just as favorably when called by any other name. The human brain and nervous system constitute a piece of the human brain and nervous system constitute a piece of intricate machinery which few, if any, understand. When controlled and properly directed, this piece of machinery can be made to perform wonders of achievement, and, if not controlled, it will perform in quite another fantastic manner. As may be seen by examining the inmates of any insane asylum, the human brain has a direct connection with a continuous influx of energy from which man derives his power to think. The brain receives this energy, mixes it with the energy created by the food taken into the body, and distributes it to every portion of the body through the aid of the blood and the nervous system. It thus becomes what we call life. What just came to mind right now is I'm doing this recording and then I'm going to be posting them up. But I have had an idea called the book club I've been working on, and ultimately I think I'm going to read these live in our groups. If you're a part of the you know our free community, and if there any questions come to mind, we will just start masterminding there, because I think that is a great way of just read good stuff together, harmonize in some sort of atmosphere, especially one that advances mind thought, which is the intention of this, and we're going to do that in the future. The human brain has a direct connection with a continuous influx of energy from which man derives his power to think. The brain receives this energy, mixes it with the energy created by the food taken into the body, and distributes it to every portion of the body through the aid of the blood and the nervous system. It thus becomes what we call life. From what source this outside energy comes, no one seems to know. All we know about it is that we must have it or die. It seems reasonable to presume that this energy flows into the body along with the oxygen from the air as we breathe. Every normal human body possesses a first class chemical laboratory and a stock of chemicals sufficient to carry on the business of breaking up, assimilating, and properly mixing and compounding the food we take into the body, preparatory to distributing it to wherever it is needed as a bodybuilder. Ample tests have been made, both with man and beast, to prove that the energy known as the mind plays an important part in the chemical operation of compounding and transforming food into the required substances to build and keep the body in repair. It is known that worry, excitement, or fear will interfere with the digestive process and, in extreme cases, stop this process altogether, resulting in illness or death. It is obvious, then, that the mind enters into the chemistry of food digestion and distribution. It is believed by many eminent authorities, although it may never have been scientifically proven, that the energy known as thought may become contaminated with negative units to such an extent that the whole nervous system is thrown out of working order. Digestion is interfered with, and various and sundry forms of disease manifest themselves. Such disturbed minds produce financial difficulties and unrequited love affairs, among other things. A negative environment, for instance, where some member of the family is constantly nagging, will interfere with the chemistry of the mind to such an extent that an individual will lose ambition and gradually sink into oblivion. This is the basis of the old saying that one spouse may either make or break the other. Any high school student knows that certain food combinations will, if taken into the stomach, result in indigestion, violent pain, and even death. Good health depends, in part at least, upon a food combination that harmonizes. But harmony of food combination is not sufficient to ensure good health. There must also be harmony between the units of energy that makes up the mind. I think they're talking about food poisoning of such. Harmony is one of nature's laws. It's kind of funny. The high school I went to, maybe you have all sorts of health food. We had some healthy options, but frankly, the daily meal one ones, those were like 60% of the time was like pizza or like burger and fries, or like oftentimes just grab fries and ketchup. Like I usually made food at home, to be fair, where I had my mom made it often, because hey, if your mom or sister or brother wants to make you food for lunch because they're older and they appreciate you, why not? Um, but yeah, obviously in high school I started making more of my own food, but didn't really spend the money for the school food. Would do it once in a while though, but it was like I wanna get a burger and fries. Harmony is one of nature's laws, without which there can be no such thing as organized energy or life in any form whatsoever. I'll say that again. Harmony is one of nature's laws. Harmony, right? I was talking about this in a video yesterday. Just allowance, just allow to receive. Harmony is one of nature's laws, without which there can be no such thing as organized energy or life in any form whatsoever. So that's the easiest way to organize. Just let allow to fall into place, which is why we should be open to agreeing with people more than finding the disagreements. The health of the body, as well as the mind, is built upon the principle of harmony. The energy known as life begins to disintegrate and death approaches when the organs of the body stop working in harmony. The moment harmony ceases, at the source of any form of organized energy, power units of that. The moment harmony ceases at the source of any form of organized energy, power, units of that energy are thrown into a chaotic state of disorder and the power is rendered neutral or passive. Harmony is also the nucleus around which the principle of mind chemistry known as mastermind develops power. Destroy this harmony and you destroy the power growing out of the coordinated effort of a group of individual minds. This truth has been stated, restated, and presented in every manner that the author could conceive with continual repetition. For unless the student grasps this principle and learns to apply it, this treatise on the mastermind is useless. Let's read it one more time. Harmony is also the nucleus around which the principle of mind chemistry known as a mastermind develops power. Destroy this harmony and you destroy the power growing out of the coordinated effort of a group of individual minds. This truth has been stated, restated, and presented in every manner that the author could conceive with continual repetition. For unless the student grasps this principle and learns to apply it, this treatise on the mastermind is useless. Harmonize. Success in life, no matter what one may call success, is very largely a matter of adaptation to environment so that there is harmony between the individual and the environment. The palace of a king comes to resemble a hovel of a peasant if harmony does not abound within its walls. Conversely stated, the hut of a peasant may be made to yield more happiness than that of the mansion of the rich man if harmony obtains in the former and not in the latter. Without perfect harmony, the science of astronomy would be as useless as a set of old bones because the stars and planets would clash with one another and all would be in a state of chaos and disorder. I guess once in a while, but there definitely is way more harmony. Without the law of harmony, right, in space, but I get it. We can talk about that one. We can talk about that one. Without the law of harmony, the blood might take the food meant to grow fingernails and deposit it on the scalp, where hair is supposed to grow. That horny growth might easily be mistaken by the superstitious to signify man's relationship to a certain imaginary gentleman with horns. Without the law of harmony, this is interesting because one of his latest books, like just made from his notes, might be, you don't want to play with evil spirits too much. You want to just like really be aware and be good. So don't make fun of people or things or energies. Might be the helpful spot there. Without the law of harmony, there can be no organization of knowledge. For what may one ask is organized knowledge except the harmony of facts and truths and natural laws. The moment discord begins to creep in at the front door, harmony edges out at the back door, so to speak. Whether the application is made to a business partnership or the orderly movement of the planets of the heavens. If the student has the impression that the author is laying undue stress upon the importance of harmony, let it be remembered that lack of harmony is the first and often the last and only cause of failure. There can be no poetry, no music, no oratory worthy of notice without the presence of harmony. Good architecture is largely a matter of harmony. Without harmony, a house is nothing but a mass of building material, more or less a monstrosity. Sound business management plants the very sinews of its existence in harmony. The very SINEWS of its existence in harmony. Not sure what that means. I'll look it up later or right now. Definition, meaning sinews. Sinew, a piece of tough fibrous tissue uniting muscle to bone, a tendon, or ligament. Okay, so sinew is like a tendon or ligament. That makes sense. Sound business management plants the very sinews of its existence in harmony. There you go. Makes sense. Every well dressed man or woman is a living picture and a moving example of harmony. With all these workaday illustrations of the importance of harmony in the affairs of the world, not to say in the operation of the entire universe, how could any intelligent person leave harmony out of his definite aim in life? You might as well have no definite aim at all if you omit harmony as the chief stone of its foundation. The human body is a complex organization of organs, glands, blood vessels, nerves, brains, cells, muscles, and so on. The mind energy that stimulates to action and coordinates the efforts of the component parts of the body is also a plurality of ever varying and changing energies. From birth until death, there is a continuous struggle, often assuming the nature of one of open combat between the forces of the mind. For example, the lifelong struggle between the motivating forces and desires of the human mind that take place between the impulses of right and wrong are well known to everyone. Every human being possesses at least two distinct mind powers or personalities, and as many as six distinct personalities have been discovered in one person. One of man's most delicate tasks is that of harmonizing these mind forces so that they may be organized and directed toward the orderly attainment of a given objective. Without this element of harmony, no individual can become an accurate thinker. It is no wonder that leaders in business and industrial enterprises, as well as those in other fields of endeavor, find it so difficult to organize groups of people so they will function without friction in the attainment of a given objective. Each individual human being possesses forces within himself that are hard to harmonize, even when he is placed in the environment most favorable to harmony. If the chemistry of the individual's mind is such that the units of its mind cannot be easily harmonized, think how much more difficult it must be to harmonize a group of minds so they will function as one, in an orderly manner, through what is known as a mastermind. The leader who successfully develops and directs the energies of a mastermind must possess tact, patience, persistence, self confidence. The leader who successfully develops and directs the energies of a mastermind must possess tact, patience, persistence, self confidence, intimate knowledge of mind chemistry, and the ability to adapt himself in a state of perfect poise and harmony to quickly changing circumstances without showing the least sign of annoyance. How many are there who can measure up to this requirement? The successful leader must possess the ability to change the color of his or her mind, chameleon like, to fit every circumstance that arises in connection with the object of leadership. Moreover, such a leader must possess the ability to change from one mood to another without showing the slightest signs of anger or lack of self control. The successful leader must understand the 17 laws of success and be able to put into practice any combination of these laws whenever occasion demands. Without this ability, no leader can be powerful, and without power, no leader can long endure. The real meaning of education. There has long been a general misconception of the meaning of the word educate. The dictionaries have not aided in the elimination of this misunderstanding because they have defined the word as an act of imparting knowledge. Actually, the word educate has its roots in Latin word educo, which means to develop from within, to educe, to draw out, to grow through the law of use. There you go. It's within you. The only way you can teach yourself is from within. Nature hates idleness in all its forms. She gives continuous life only to those elements which are in use. Tie up an arm or any other portion of the body, taking it out of use, and the idle part will soon atrophy and become lifeless. Reverse the order, give an arm more than normal use, such as that engaged in by the blacksmith who wields a heavy hammer all day long, and that arm developed from within grows stronger. Power grows out of organized knowledge, but mind you, it grows out of it through application and use. Got to keep applying and using. Someone may become a walking encyclopedia of knowledge without possessing any power. This knowledge becomes power only to the extent that it is organized, classified, and put into action. Some of the best educated people the world has known possessed much less general knowledge than some who have been known as fools. The difference between the two being that the former put what knowledge they possessed into use, while the latter made no such application. An educated person is one who knows how to acquire everything needed in the attainment of his or her main purpose in life, without violating the rights of others. That's true. An educated person is one who knows how to acquire everything needed in the attainment of his or her main purpose in life without violating the rights of others. Stick to that. It might be a surprise to many of the so called learned to know that they come nowhere near qualification as educated. It might also be a great surprise to many who believe they suffer from lack of learning to know that they are well educated. The successful lawyer is not necessarily the one who memorizes the greatest number of principles of law. On the contrary, the successful lawyer is the one who knows where to find a principle of law as well as variety of opinions supporting that principle. In other words, the successful lawyer is the one who knows where to find the law when needed. Ain't that the truth? If you ever had a good lawyer, no good lawyers. This principle applies with equal force to the affairs of industry and business. Henry Ford had little elementary schooling, yet he has one of the best educated men in the world. He was one of the best educated men in the world. He seemed to have acquired such an ability to combine natural and economic laws, to say nothing of the minds of men, that he had the power to get anything of a material nature he wants. During World War II, Henry Ford brought suit against the Chicago Tribune, charging that newspaper with libelous statements concerning him, one of which was that Ford was an ignoramus, an ignorant pacifist, and so forth. When the suit came up for trial, the attorneys from the Tribune undertook to prove, by interrogating Ford himself, that their statement was true, that he was ignorant. With this aim in view, they cross examined him in the courtroom on all manner of subjects. One question they asked was, how many soldiers did the British send over to subdue the rebellion in the colonies in 1776? With a wry grin on his face, Ford nonchalantly replied, I do not know just how many, but I have heard that it was a lot more than ever went back. The response was loud laughter from court officers. jury, courtroom spectators, and even the frustrated lawyer who had asked the question. This line of interrogation was continued for an hour or more, with Ford remaining perfectly calm. Finally, however, he grew tired of it. Then, in reply to a question that was particularly obnoxious and insulting, Ford straightened himself up, pointed his finger at the questioning lawyer, and replied, "If I should really wish to answer the foolish questions you have just asked, or any of the others you have been asking, let me remind you that I have a row of buttons hanging over my desk. By placing my finger on the right button, I could call in any number of people who could give me the correct answer to all the questions you have asked, and to many that you have not the intelligence to either ask or answer. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should bother about filling my mind with a lot of useless details in order to answer every fool question that anyone may ask, when I have able people all about me who can supply me with all the facts I want when I call for them?" This answer is quoted from memory, but it substantially relates Ford's answer. There was silence in the courtroom. The questioning attorney's jaw dropped. His eyes opened wide. The judge leaned forward from the bench and gazed in Ford's direction. Many of the jury awoke and looked around as if they had heard an explosion, which in a sense they had. Ford's reply knocked the questioner cold. Up to the time of that reply, the lawyer had been enjoying considerable fun at what he believed to be Ford's expense. By adroitly displaying the lawyer's sample case of general knowledge and comparing it with what he inferred to be Ford's widespread ignorance, but the answer spoiled the lawyer's fun. It also proved once more, to all who had the intelligence to accept the proof, that true education means mind development, not merely the gathering and classifying of knowledge. Ford could not, in all probability, have named the capitals of all the states, but he could have, and in fact had gathered the capital with which to turn many wheels within every state in the Union. Education, let us not forget this, consists of the power to get everything one needs without violating the rights of others. Ford falls well within that definition. There are many men of learning who could easily have entangled Ford, theoretically, with a maze of questions, none of which he could have answered. But Ford could also have waged a battle in industry or finance that would run circles around those same men with all of their abstract knowledge and wisdom. Ford probably could not have gone into his chemical laboratory and separate water into its component atoms of hydrogen and oxygen, and then recombine these atoms in their former order. But he knew how to surround himself with chemists who could have done this for him. The man who can intelligently use the knowledge possessed by another is as much or more a man of education as the person who merely has the knowledge but does not know what to do with it. Education consists of doing, not merely of knowing. With that, write down the good ideas that came to mind for these projects that you need to work on. Comment what you learned. Let's dialogue. This is a mastermind where I am in the past and you are in your present future, and we are actually connected in the mind.